We will be recording the session for those who can't make it or for you to rewatch this later. Recordings will be available up to 30 days from when put up. The presentation will be posted on YouTube. We are pinning the video so that only the presenters will be recorded. This means you can choose to keep your video audio on or off. But if you speak, the recording will pick up your audio and not your name. You can type your questions in the chat box if you prefer, and depending on the presenter, you can privately message them as well. Please keep your audio mute whenever you are not speaking, otherwise we might pick up your background noise. We also encourage you to check out our Sugar and Spice FB group for latest updates and announcements. Regarding consent, please do not contact other participants outside of this event without their consent. You can always ask them for permission through the event or Facebook group before messaging them. We don't want instances of participants feeling violated or unsafe. For emotional support, please email us at emotionalsupport@sugarandspice.asia. Again, emotionalsupport@sugarandspice.asia. So, once again, hi everyone and good evening. Welcome to Sugar and Spice Talk Series. I'm your host for this evening. My name is Kat. I am a 4'8", 4'9" Filipina with brown skin. My hair is up in a clip because it's a little bit humid today, even despite the rains right now. And I'm wearing cat eye glasses. And in this 2-hour evening, we will introduce 3 Asian presenters: Justin Chu, Asta Kana, and Alex Liu. I'm so sorry for mispronouncing your names. So each will be speaking on a sexuality-related topic for 15 minutes each. There will be a question and answer session afterwards, and there will be a fun activity for participants during this event. At the end of the session, Martha will present a sex toy sponsored by Pink Lifestyle. And also, for this event, we would like to acknowledge our sponsor, Pink Lifestyle. Pink Lifestyle offers a wide range of lingerie, personal massage equipment, lubricants, and aromatic body oil. They carry top brands around the world: Japan, UK, and USA, each with their own distinctive culture and definition of design and innovation. Their mission is simply based on careful selection of products with the best quality at the most affordable prices. Ultimately, their aim is to bring couples closer together in the most direct manner. It is their goal to help you feel good about yourself and to draw out your inner beauty. Pink Lifestyle is a premium reseller of Lilo from Sweden, Womanizer, We Vibe, and Fun Factory from Germany, Love Sense from the USA, Tenga and Iroha from Japan, and they are also a key distributor of the sophisticated Anna Moon lingerie brand with more than 1,000 designs to choose from. So for tonight, our theme is creativity. And first, let me introduce you to our speaker number 1. Our first speaker will be talking about magical thinking and sexuality in the making of pleasure and sexual fantasies. Teasing, hot wax, and the scent of sweet creme brulee lubricant. We are being exposed in promotional materials that tell us what is pleasure. But how often does those things work? There is an opulence of products in the sex toys industry, the market towards sexual pleasure and erotic fantasies. But does that also limit creative thinking in exploring the world of kink and intimacy? I'm actually very interested in this topic. In this session, Justin, his pronouns are he and they, shares his observation in his fieldwork in the sex toys industry and explores ways that help us explore our inner sexual creativity and rethink the relationship between what is out there in the market and the self. Like he always said, attitude is kink. So let me tell you a little bit more about Justin Chu. He is MPhil student in the University of Hong Kong with research interests including ethnography of business, Obscenity, Sex Positive, Sex Education, and Sexual Repression. His thesis project retailing sex magic, obscenity, and the Hong Kong sex toy industry studies the legal and anthropological aspect of obscenity and its application in the Hong Kong sex toy industry. He is the current Faculty Board Postgraduate Representative and Chair of the Student Affair and Outreach Subcommittee of the Committee on Gender Equality and Diversity in the HKU Faculty of Arts. Apart from his academic life, Chu is known for being a community sex educator. He has hosted workshops on menstrual politics, guest lectured in universities on numerous topics, including masculinities and pornography, and guest appeared on regional public broadcasting service RTHK discussing masturbation and orgasm. Everyone, please give it for Justin Chu.
Thank you so much. Let me just ready my PowerPoint. So hi, I'm Justin. My pronoun is he and they. I'm in my black tee today with slight makeup on, with red vibrant lipstick, and I'm wearing a square glasses with a pomodoro hair. Yes, so this is how I look. So thank you for the invitation, Martha, for inviting me to talk about my research, actually. But at the same time, this research is quite close to me as a sex educator, because how I want to change how people see sex and how to be more creative, as in how they can rethink their own daily performance and daily practices. So so I'll just give my introduction, because already we Kat have introduced me, and this is my lovely picture taken by Time Out magazine. So nice. And this is my current project. So I have split. I'll be splitting today's presentation in 3 different parts. The first 2 will be relatively short in comparison to the third one, because I want to spend more time to give you a small lecture, let's just say that, on creative theories and how you can adopt this theory in your everyday life. So to begin, I'll give you a small observation of my my time being a sex toy. I was a sex toy retailer once in Hong Kong to conduct participation observation, and I will give you some of the insight that I saw when I observed people consuming sex toy, as well as how I observe how retailers retail sex toys. And I'll be theorizing it using the concept called magical thinking, which coined by my dear Professor Brian Morian, where I'll be explaining the retail of sex toy, or the aspect of Kink. It's a transformation, a magical transformation that transforms you from one thing to another, and to give you that kind of like erotic sensation. So after you think, after you know how it works, the process of magical transformation, then we can go to the discussion on how to be more creative, because you know how the magic could be happening. It's happened, right? So so without further ado, this is the first page, and the second, oh, it's jumping automatically, it's scary. So this is one of the things that most people would do, is they go to a sex toy shop and they will find different products, and then most of the time they will just jump straight to the SM product session, where they will play with different toys, they will haggle around, and then the sex toys themselves will approach them and then ask them what they need. But before that, well, I love to listen to people's shoppers when they arrive at sex toy shop. Most of the time, it's the guys who dominate the discussion, or they think that they know everything, into teaching most of the time their female partner. And there will be sessions where they interpretate the sex toy and what the sex toy do. And most of the time, it's not as accurate as they think, and they don't really have the so-called common sense on how one sex toy could be used in the body, or even they are confined. Some of them are confined they have confined themselves into thinking that sex toy can only be used in a certain way. So the second observation that I have is that or most sex toy retailers face is that when most of the customers have bought dozens of sex toys and they are very experienced with sex toys, when the next time they arrive the community erotic shop, and when they ask the retailer, oh, is there any new products in town that I can try? Given that, like, if they are extremely rich, they bought most of the things already. And this is a picture that I'm showing is the cowgirl, which is one of the most expensive sex toy single item in the market right now. If you want to spend your money in supporting the pink economy, you can always go for the unicorn version, the special edition too, which is priced as $1,495 US. So after they buy these products, even the most expensive ones, and they will come to the sex toy shop next time asking for new products. But we the sex toy retailers, always have a problem with suggesting new products because there are none. And the sex toy industry have their own limitation because there's only so many things that we can think of or give them meanings to, them. So the problem is that a lot of people, especially vanilla people who do vanilla sex, they don't usually go into kinks or BDSM or whatnot. They always outsource their creativity or sexual creativity to the sex toy shops or sex toy manufacturers. But when they consume everything available in the market, they will be lost, they'll be confused, they don't know what to do with their sex life, they think that sex it's no longer there for them. Or even like if they try one sex toy which doesn't really work for them, or the review is extremely good but the sex toy doesn't really work for them, they will start to rethink and question themselves whether they are eligible into having sexual pleasure. So sex toy is more like a double-edged sword. Sometimes it helps you open different doors, but at the same time it might confine your own creativity. So the next part is, how do we theorize this this idea or this observation? So for example, when you go to a sex toy shop, you see this particular thing, a feather stick, a stick on with a feather on. What is the resemblance of this being in a sex toy shop and a chicken feather stick, which is usually for tidying table as well as hitting naughty kids especially in Chinese culture. I didn't hit by that. Like my mind, it's a bit more bougie. That was like the itchy thing for your back. That's the thing that my mom usually hit me with when I was young. But what is the difference between these two things? Essentially, they are the same, right? And you see this one, like this is a very simple blindfold that you can find anywhere. But what does it? Why is this so special when it's retail in a sex toy shop? And when there is something that is literally special, as is listed on the eye shield, blindfold. Sorry. So why is it make it so special and literally doing it? So for me, like, why do we always need to read something to use it in a certain way? The reason why I show this picture, I usually call this the straight guy underpants. So I do have a fetish on like smell and sensation, and why don't you just like blindfold me with this underwear in comparison to use a blindfold that you can find in a sex toy shop with the same use of impairing my vision to enable different senses on my body. So there is so we go into the concept of magical thinking, where we use different rituals and system and process to transform the experience. For example, when you go to a sex toy shop, the whole setting or the whole space of a sex toy shop transform your experience of seeing things. The retail of, or when you see the package of having some beautiful person with a leopard print blindfold on, that thing itself transform it into different connotations. Say, for example, BDSM and transgressiveness. And the other aspect is mimesis, where so it's more like arts imitate life in a bad way. So one of the examples that I could give is that why some people use cucumber as their sex toy. Why is it kinky, or what is it creative? Why is, say, for example, this great famous grapefruit trick is considered creative when it's just a fruit? And people, when you say that, oh, I grapefruit my man the other day, why it sounds kinky, or it sounds erotic in that sense, in comparison to, say, a masturbator? Because mimesis legitimize your consumption of sex, and the sex toy itself is helps you to legitimize your own pleasure, because it itself, for example, this is a silicone cucumber sex toy, which when you put it in hot water, it will change color. It not only by legitimacy is that in comparison to I use a cucumber to penetrate myself, it sounds better to use a sex toy to penetrate myself, right? So there is a legitimacy of enabling you when you use a sex toy to explore your body, in comparison to use something that is more creative. So the last part would be how to we release yourself or free yourself from the stigma of using alternative items in your life, or even embrace your kink identity. So we classify in creative theories, we classify creative into 3 different big categories: mini C, little c, and if you have been to Thailand, big C. Yes, so mini C is the nemesis and the enlightenment process that you have. Say, for example, the first time you masturbate, or the first time you use a sex toy, that could be seen as mini C. And little c is that the little things that you can do every day to be more creative in your sex life. And the big C is a breakthrough creativity that will change the industry. Say, for example, how Apple changed the industry by producing the first digital phone. It's like that, smartphone. And little c would be creating different apps, maybe. And mini c is the first time you use a iPhone, and that for a kid, for example, using iPhone to play with different games, like that could be mini c. So so one of the aspects of creativity is improvisation. So I try to use this research, which this author wrote on, have observed 7 elements in jazz improvisation. So I've classified them into different C's. I'll explain each of them. Some more in-depth, some less. So I've classified these parts. So the first one would be mini C. So interrupting habits. One second now. So for example, if you are a person who always do missionary, then why don't you try doggy style next time? That is interrupting habits already, right? So if you are a person who never used sex toy before, or usually use those traditional vibrators for your pleasure, then why don't you try a sex toy with pleasure air, say the womanizer? And if you already own the womanizer and use it on the clitoris, which is what it's intended to use, intended for, why don't you use it on your nipples next time? So it's you can free yourself from using the product in its intended way. Some of the vibrators that one of my fellow sex educator told me, like she just delivered a child, and then she used a vibrator under her on her breast to facilitate milking, to unblock the, I don't know what is it called in English, but to unblock the milk apparently. So it works perfectly. So you can try using vibrator in different ways, and you can be creative. So as for improvisation, it's a way. One of the things that I said would be reliance on retrospective sense making, which is, say, to use different things that is readily available in your surrounding. For example, in that scene where she used a grapefruit on a phallic object, which is borrowed from Auntie and Angel, where she performed the infamous grapefruit trick. Yes, so try to use different things around you. Everything could be a sex toy, from a bottle to a pen. It could be a sex toy if you want it to be. So literacy, there are so many words here, but the thing I want you to focus on is structure. So minimal structure doesn't mean no structure. Most of the time when people have sex, they don't really have a structure. So I want you can, before you go into the bedroom, say, for example, you can always come up with a small structure first. Say, I want to use 3 positions today, or want to use this particular sex toy. Itself already counts as something, a structure that you can bring in your sex life. But by that, like, what it needs to create structure? One, you have to continuously have negotiation with your partner, and to have dialogue, to know more about different kinks and different things you want to try. And you have to learn from your era. And this comes from learning from era and taking turns soloing. Soloing means and supporting means that in jazz, it's like everybody have their time to shine. But in terms of sexuality and pleasure, I think from my interpretation is that everybody, you should take care of your partner's pleasure as well. Not just your pleasure, but theirs pleasure as well. Try to explore their own body. So one of the things improvisation needs, like I say, continuous negotiation is to create groove, right? So to sum up, groove is trust. To create trust between your partner and those who you engage relationship with. And I try to explain it in a form of food, which I love, and cooking. Like one of the things that I love to make is hollandaise sauce, emulsification. So to make hollandaise sauce, you need 3 things: butter, egg yolk, and vinegar. This is the exact white wine vinegar I use, really nice. So say, for example, the butter is you and the egg yolk is your partner. What is the binding agent between the two? So you need trust, as we mentioned. You need evaluation, so the learning from error part, and reciprocation. A lot of people, when buying sex toy, it's always like, especially the guys, is that, oh, I want to pleasure my girlfriend. I want to do this on my girlfriend, and thus it pleasure me. But they never explore their own body enough. So whenever they talk to me, say, for example, I want to try this sex toy, I always tell the girlfriend you can perform the same thing on your partner's nipples or his furnium, which is the connecting part of the glands and the foreskin. You can try to use it, say, for the womanizer on that part too. So a lot of guys are afraid of sex toy on themselves, not so much on their partner. So because they're afraid that it will be like effeminize all of them for some reason. So reciprocation doesn't mean that you have to focus on, means reciprocation means that you can pleasure or not pleasure, or to explore your partner's sexuality at the same time, or not just focus on yourself. They have their time to shine too. Right. So Big C would be hanging out, right? Membership in communities and practice. In the Kink community, there is a thing called munch or munchies, that they will come around and sit at the table and just eat dinner or eat lunch whatsoever. So we talk about the practices, how to learn from each other's mistakes, as well as create a community that that don't make us fall into the trap of some practices that there is I mean that somebody have already have tried. So, but if you don't want, if you can't find any of these communities in town, you can always talk to your friends about it, right? Not just about building your a community of Kink, but joining one, but you can build it yourself and talk it out at the same time. So for the concluding remarks, so for sex toy, I put it here. What you see is not always the truth. It can always be something else. You can that sex toy might, or sometimes some sex toy might not work for you, and that's true. But it doesn't hinder you from your way of finding finding pleasure. And sex toy, it's not a means to an end. Sex toy, it's more like a beginning of your sexual enlightenment. So it's so sexual exploration for me, there is a song performed by Mayhem Miller, the drag queen, which is a meme, right? The I meme, right? So the song, one of the lyrics said, there is a beginning, a middle, and no end. To explore your sexuality on pleasure is the same thing. There is no end to it. You can always try new different things as long as you have the mentality and the creative mind to transform different things yourself, or even you can create that kind of magical thinking yourself and don't need to outsource it to the industry. So as well as you have to master the basics, you have to know different terms and things readily available outside in different communities. And then you can try to bring these things into your daily life, and free from conventions. Try to use the womanizer on different places on your body. And when you engage in kink and engage in different alternative materials, don't kink shame others. And lastly, be proud of the things that you do and play it safe. There's always ways to harm yourself. Even sex toy, if you, for example, a anal toy, if you are new to anal play and you buy a fisting tool like this, you will definitely harm yourself. Start small, start slow, buy a small butt plug first. That's what I usually recommend for people. Yes, so this is the reference, and if you want to find me, this is my Instagram and LinkedIn, you can scan it. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Justin. Does anybody have any questions for Justin? You can either message me, Martha, or put it in the chat. The red lipstick story. Justin, you're muted. Justin, you're muted.
Oh, yes. So you can hear me now, right?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I wore a where's lipstick story? Okay, I'm using Armani. I think I'm not Armani today. Where is it? Like there. Okay, I'm using Yves Saint Laurent today. wait. Like that, like a really nice one, red one, very nice. And then usually the one I use is MAC Love Weapon. Like I call this the let me just stop my filter for a split second. Like this one right here and this one, because this one I call it a blowjob lipstick. Because like if you can like if you use this lipstick, like it won't transfer. Like I usually use this lipstick on one occasion where I had to eat like really oily food, and it won't transfer either. Like this is really good. Like try Max. What's that? The liquid matte liquid lip matte lipstick collection. Really nice, really good. Yes. Oh, guide us on line the lipstick. Okay, so if you use a liquid lipstick, originally they have a what's it called, a applicator like that already. So it helps you with the lining or already. So I don't usually need to line my lips because of that. But if you are using a cream lipstick, for example, like this one, then you have to line your lips or else you have bleeding, right? So you have, say, for example, let me use a pen, for example. So if you line your lips, you have to try to outline the outer area first and try to make it bigger. If you have a smaller lip, then you can outline it bigger and then fill it in with your lipsticks. Yes.
Okay, I have a question regarding sex toys, especially for a partner that has really low self-esteem right now.
Right.
He has a low self-esteem because I think he has he can't use condoms because he seems to be allergic to it. So we're
Right.
trying to look for solutions, but he still wants to have to be intimate. But every time he tries to initiate, he starts to deflate. So, and do you have any suggestions on how we can lift up his self-esteem?
So one thing, not all condoms are made with latex. There are condoms made with, say, polyurethane, polyisoprene, and lambskin. So if you two are, oh no, you two, like your friend, yeah, shit. Like if so for lambskin, it's usually bigger than normal condoms, and they don't protect you from STD. So you have to use it with your for a monogamous partner, and it only prevent you from pregnancy. So don't use lambskin if you are with a new partner. For polyisoprene and polyurethane, say for example, for polyisoprene, you can try to use the brand Skin, and polyurethane, you can use, say, the 0.02 by Sagami. It's pretty nice too. So if these, and if it's about size, like say for example, some of the time if he deflates, it could be about the size of the condom as well. Try to, if both if these male condom doesn't work, so I hate to use the word male condoms because they are external condom. We should be more gender neutral for that. He could try using internal condom, which is which is like a huge ring. And there is another ring inside. You can slip the ring inside the hole, no matter what hole it is, put it in, and then and the guy don't need to wear any condom because that is already well protected. And especially for guy that is more well endowed, I will suggest using internal condom for the partner. As for self-esteem, it's I think like he has a fear of condom because of that, because of the allergies, because of the allergy of latex. When he tried different condoms that is not made with latex, I think it will soothe his anxiety a bit. But if it's problem about penetration or what, it could be about he's afraid of having an intimate and penetrative sex, or he's afraid he's have some self-esteem issues related to his performance, then I would suggest try not to perform penetrative sex for the first few sessions. Try to focus more on, say, his pleasure on masturbation, using blowjobs and whatnot. Try to use alternative methods first. Try to boost his self-esteem is in couple play, and later on maybe you guys can engage in penetrative sex later on.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, there's one, and there's a few in the chat right now.
My research on sex toy. Okay. Okay. My research on sex toy, it's more it's on a few different things. I read most the things I currently do, it's on legal aspect, where on sex toy trade as well as retailing in Hong Kong, because for fun fact, Hong Kong's legal system actually borrows a lot from Singapore as well as New Zealand. And but if you are saying like sex toy on its own, like one of the observations that I had, which I presented, is how people outsource. They think that sex toy could cure everything. Sex toy is just like sexual medicine, where they think that buying a sex toy could save their marriage. But sometimes it's not about sex or sex life or the pleasure itself. It's about communication. That's why if you create better communication with your partner, then it will be better. So it's not always about sex toy, but knowing your body is another thing. Like there is a new report just released from Womanizer, which they interview me. They give me the data on masturbation rate. There is a new report, not report, what's it called? A research on masturbation, and they are curating a thing called Equal Masturbation Day, and they said that like women masturbate less than men, and there is a discrepancy in there. So if more people, especially if more women especially masturbate more, and by masturbation means that know your body better, then you will learn more about yourself and how you can pleasure yourself. So it'll be like that. So it's still in a very like precarious way. The next question is, how do one communicate their needs for a sex toy or to make sex life more creative for a partner who have been in a long time? That is quite tricky, because like a lot of people, especially heterosexual people, when they engage in marriage, especially, is that sex might not be the thing for them, especially in the case of Hong Kong, especially a lot of people actually have the first sex when they are in marriage, because like most of the fun fact, most of the sex therapists in Hong Kong are employed by Christian affiliated like churches to help with what's it called? Okay, to help with to help with procreation or reproduction. So it's not so much about pleasure, right? So when it leads to a problem that like sex is not much of a thing or about attraction, but it's about reproduction. So of course, like we have to driven back to the thing to the point that we have to learn that people learn that like sex itself is pleasurable and everybody are entitled to have pleasure. And if you're saying in a long-term relationship, of course, one of the solutions would be open relationship, but it's not for everybody, right? Not polyamorous or even polyamory, open relationship. You need a lot of communication and trust issue to build up a level of trust in order to curate that. So as for the other part, of course, like you can, when one part of the person is not as into, say, for example, penetrative sex, then we should free ourselves from the aspect of sex is just penetration. Try to explore, especially for if in a hetero sexual relationship, try to explore your guy's body as well. The guy's body is quite interesting too, not just about the women's body. And then later on, we might try to engage in different things that it will lead to nowhere, somewhere else. So try different things first. If it doesn't work, and you can actually live with it. So by living with it is that you should embrace yourself, as in you just love that person for that person's sake. You don't really need to so-called spice up your life, right? So it's all about like communication between partners, whether one party needs this or doesn't need that. It's all come down to the context. As friends, or one could share some brand names on the Latex one. Oh yes, Right. Okay. Yeah. So as for female condom, I think I'll send it here later when the next speaker starts. There is a few female condoms that are made with non-latex material. I do always recommend try to use non-latex materials, say polyisoprene, say skin, because like skin, the Chinese translation, it's really nice. It's artificial latex. 人工树脂, 人工树脂, right? So it have the property of of latex, the elasticity of it. So you could try skin if it's possible. Wait, no. Oh, in that case, then if Singapore doesn't sell female condom, then try to import it. Say you can buy it on what's it called, like Amazon, or some of the sex toy shop in Hong Kong do international shipping too, but it's a bit expensive. So try to open the market of female condoms, because especially for guys that are more well-endowed, where they don't know, when they say that, oh, not all condom fits me, no condom fits me in the market, I'll usually say shut the F up and then use a female condom. Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Because if we don't have any